Lynette Oxley here for SHAC Tactical TV. I'm here with Megan Pillar. It's for the 16 Days of Action for No Violence Against Women and Children. She's one of our biggest supporters. Thank you, Megan, for everything that you've done for the GOSA Girls on Fire campaign in the past, and welcome.
Thank you very much.
Very nice to chat to you. When did you start shooting? It was at a later stage in life. It was not like at 16 or 15 like some of our young shooters. When did you start getting interested in guns and got introduced to guns?
Well, I think I was already over the age of 30. I didn't know hunting existed in this country. I didn't know shooting firearms existed prior to that.
Yeah.
I always played a lot of sports. I did rugby, I did volleyball, I did athletics.
You did rugby?
Yeah, well, touch rugby, not full-on rugby.
Okay.
And then when I was actually pregnant with my daughter, my husband went hunting with some family friends, and obviously prepared and went to the range and was shooting, and he was all excited about that. And then after my daughter was born, I said, well, I also want to try this. So he took me to the range. They put me on a 308, and that was it.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
You actually did say that you then went and shot, did some sport shooting or something, or on a range with handguns, and they had to tell you to stop.
That was on the 308.
Was it on the 308?
That was my first time on the range, and I was shooting so much, the RO eventually came and tapped me on the shoulder, and in his polite Afrikaans way, went, excuse me, madam, can you stop? We want to all go check our targets.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
It is a lot of fun, and it's a very empowering thing to actually shoot guns. People think it's this really something that's scary, but it's not. In the end, it's when you start shooting, I've actually seen ladies' reactions from being very frightened to like, oh, no, I can do this, and this is a lot of fun, especially on the 50 calored hour events. It's a huge thing. You then went on to get involved in the Big Ball Club, and tell us about your first rifle, your own rifle that you got.
Yeah, so I actually started shooting in the Big Ball Club, but using my husband's rifle. And then I bought my first rifle, which was a 375.
That's quite something. It's not a small caliber.
No, it's not, but I am a little bit of a juice junkie, I think. Yeah, I like the recoil, and yeah, so my 375 was my first rifle. Then I went to a 270, I've got a 243 and a 308, and then I later on went to a 500 Nitro, which is a huge caliber.
It is a huge caliber. And so very expensive ammunition.
Oh, yeah.
It's very, very, very expensive.
Almost like 180 Rand per round if you're reloading yourself. So
yeah, it's very expensive.
Yeah, I know it is. So I'd been involved in rifles and target shooting on rifles and hunting for quite a few years before I actually even started shooting handguns. And I've got to say, in the beginning it was a bit intimidating. I was a bit nervous, even though I'm used to rifles.
It's a totally different feel. Handguns are different. I always say to people, rifles are easy, and people think it's scary, the rifles, but handguns, you only have 2 points of contact. It's not like all of the points of contact that you have with the rifle, so it's a lot more difficult to shoot handguns. So you own your own handgun now?
Yes, I do. So now I've just got a little Walter PPK, my little 38, well, 9 more short actually, that I carry on me every day. And yeah, now it's like part of me.
Absolutely, you can't go out the house without it.
In the beginning I was nervous, but when you get to the range and you put your time in, and you get comfortable with your firearm, yeah, it becomes second nature.
Absolutely.
It's like riding a car.
It is absolutely that way. Tell me a little bit about, you go hunting now quite often or not, or do you get time to go and hunt?
So we try and do at least 3 or 4 hunts a year. Obviously the last 2 years sort of weren't too viable, but prior to that, yes. So we always do a mixture. We've got a lovely group of friends that do a family hunt. So that's all the children from like 6 years old right up to 85.
So it's a family outing.
So there's a big group of us. Throughout the week there's about 28, 30 of us. And we train the children, and each one gets to go out with a different adult. So they get different experience, different exposure. And that's a completely basic hunt. We have our campfire, we have our tents, we have our bed, we do our own skinning, we do everything.
That's absolutely fantastic. That it teaches you, you know, people think this hunting thing and you eat. Are you a meat hunter, or you don't do trophies? Or?
I do both.
do both.
Yeah.
But yeah, you mostly eat what you hunt, and kids have to understand that stuff doesn't come in packaged at Woolworths in nice packets. You know, we are meat eaters, and meat comes from somewhere.
But you know what, it's also more than that, it's the excitement. So now, obviously, my kids have all recently, in the last 3 years, started hunting as well. And we've got 4 freezers at home, like big chest freezers.
Yeah.
And every week, so we make our own hamburgers, we make our own bolognese sauce, our own sausages and wurst, and we experience. So cooking is a really big thing in our family, obviously with my husband being Italian.
Also, Uji, sorry. Come on.
So, yeah, we big foodies, you know. So
I'm also a big foodie, so
yeah.
So is Stefano a good cook?
Well, let's just put it this way. We always joke. I make the fire, he does the cooking.
Okay. I also love cooking, and fresh ingredients and stuff is absolutely awesome.
No.
Urge, no.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
He has to be part of all of the videos, unfortunately. So, yeah, and you can make such nice stuff. People think that game meat is not great, but I absolutely love warthog. That's one of my favorites for burgers.
Yeah.
Warthog fillet,
Yes.
absolutely fantastic if you do it in a certain way. So yeah, I enjoy venison. Yeah, venison is a very nice and very healthy meat, much healthier than actually beef, if you think about it.
Listen, we've had some really great and some really terrible experiences. And I think that's the excitement about hunting, is learning as you go along. So it's not just about the shooting, it's not just about taking the animal down. The experience in the bush, learning to track, learning signals, getting up close with nature, which you never do. I mean, everybody goes to the Kruger Park and they're stuck in their car the whole day. You never get to walk around and experience the nature itself.
That is really important, you know. I speak, Paul doesn't get that much opportunity to hunt anymore, but he goes to a farm where he's on his own. They each get certain camps that they can hunt in, so he's on his own. He enjoys walking, looking at the animals. For him, it's a relaxing experience. I also said quite a lot of times he comes back with nothing because nothing came up during the hunt. But that's not what it's about. It's just to be out there in the wild.
Yes, yeah. And then the plus side after that is getting to experiment with the meat as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can do a lot. As I said, with warthog, I usually love my warthog mince. I make bolognese, I make patties, I make all kinds of stuff, and you can do so much, and as I said, much healthier as well.
Absolutely, yes.
Tell me a bit about your involvement in GOSA and other organisations. So you got involved in some of the nitty-gritty part of it.
Well, I think it's just part of my character. You know, no matter what I've done, I've always sort of not just participated, but always, how do I help and how can we improve and how can we get things better? So with Big Boar, we were there attending shoots all the time, and then we had our national shoot for GOSA.
Yeah.
And that was all for long-range target shooting, whereas Big Boar is pretty much short-range, rapid firing and moving up and down. And when they had the national shoots, we didn't really participate that much.
Yeah.
And at that time, there was only myself and one other lady shooting Big Boar. So we decided, no, on the following year, we're going to get a team together and get some ladies down to the shoot. And
you'll have to send me some photos, please.
I'll send you photos, yeah, no, it was. So here we were at this shoot where everybody had been practicing long range and 300 meters and everything. We came stone last, but it was so much fun.
We've just covered the precision rifle nationals, and there's also a few women, but they're coming in, and they're coming in strong. So
yeah, there's been a big movement over the last 5 years, I would say. There are a lot more women getting involved, and so much more competitive than the men as well.
Yeah, they are. I've actually found some women really, really, really competitive.
Yeah.
I spoke to what's her name, the lady from the skeet shooting, Sarah Kalal, and she said she's very competitive. She didn't never realize how competitive she is until she started shooting. So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So. And
now you are actually running your own business in in and around transporting of firearms. Do you want me to tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, yeah. So with getting involved in firearms and hunting, and it sort of became our lifestyle. I mean, our lives just changed 360. I mean, almost all holidays we do now are either around our hunts or around fishing, because we started fishing as well, and we started
do freshwater or salt? Both.
Both.
Okay.
It just depends on the budget.
Yes.
Salt is definitely a lot more expensive than fresh water.
It is.
Yeah, so we love that. So that's what our family focuses around, is being outdoors, getting involved in an activity. We do bows as well. We've never hunted yet with bows. We're still learning and progressing on that. And coupled with that, my husband had started doing imports and exports, which was his background.
Just blue
logistics, yeah. And that started growing quite rapidly. And I was actually previously involved in the training sector prior to that. And as he started developing, he needed help. So I then went over to Blue Logistics. And yeah, for about 6 years, we had all our permits to transport for explosives and firearms and ammunition. And the one day one of my clients said to me, Meg, you've got permits just like Ram. I'm like, yeah, well, I do. He said, well, can't you help us move ammo? And I was like, yeah, I suppose you can, because they had a big container coming in. And slowly we started doing a lot more ground transport, which wasn't really our focus at that stage. And as everybody heard, I was doing ground transport. I got more phone calls and more phone calls, and eventually we started Buccaneer.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I use you quite often, so absolutely fantastic. Your personal experience and your message to women in around firearms. You've got a passion for it, so what would you like to say to other ladies out there?
Before I give that message, I
Yes.
just want to tell a little story.
Absolutely.
So I've got 3 children, and from the day that they could walk, we taught them firearms are not a toy,
Fantastic.
and you never aim a firearm at somebody unless you intend to shoot.
Yeah.
And that sort of was a really good training. I mean, even when they were 2 years old, even if they were, kids play guns with their fingers,
Yes.
they were never allowed to point their fingers at us. Even if it was a pretend gun, you do not aim it at anybody. And when my son was about 3.5, he had a play date and friends over, and the next minute he came screaming to me, Mum, he pointed a gun at me.
Yeah.
And I was like, who? No, I can't even remember the boy's name. I said, well, where's the gun? And he's like, no, he pointed his finger at me. And the training was there and it was good. But I then had a problem a few years later.
Let's get Uji, wrangle Uji out again. Sorry, yes.
A few years later, we had a problem with the introduction of Nerf guns. I don't know if you know the Nerf
I know.
guns.
I didn't until very recently what a Nerf gun is, but I do know now because I don't have kids. So.
Yeah, so all our training with our children had now come to a point where Nerf guns are designed for them to shoot each other with these little foam bullets.
Yeah.
And my kids had been drilled and trained so much that you never point a gun at anybody. They were now feeling, well, what do we do? And my husband and I were like, what do we do now? Because we didn't really let them play with toy guns. And so we had to sort of change our training a little bit to say, okay, guys, this is a toy. We know it's a Nerf gun. It's not a real gun.
It's a different color.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, so we then had to try and alter their minds as well. So it's fine with that, but if it's a real gun, or if it looks like a real gun, treat it like a real gun.
Yeah.
So for that, I was very comfortable. My kids weren't scared of guns. They knew what a gun was. They knew how to behave around it. But now Nerf guns came along and, well, now it's fun. You can actually shoot each other. So we then had to allow that, but the rules still stayed in place. You don't shoot at anybody with a Nerf gun if they're not looking at you. You don't aim for the face. So we also had those rules in place. You can play with Nerf guns. You can shoot each other, but there's still rules in place. And I think for me, other mums are quite tolerant when it comes to a Nerf gun, and I mean, they're used to that. A real gun is just the same. As long as the training is there, the understanding is there, the gun itself is just a thing. It's the behavior around it.
This behavior, and we've when we introduced gun buddies and Scrappy the Land Rover. Corsi, every time he sees the gun, he says, guns are not toys. And that's it. It's not a toy. You should not see it as a toy.
Yeah. And my kids know. We also, from the day one, if you see somebody with a gun or a friend with a gun, what do?
You call an adult.
Don't try and take it away. Don't try and wrestle it away. Go and call an adult.
That's it, yeah. That's the message that we're trying to do with Gun Buddies and with Scrappy the Land Rover books as well.
You know, but also the other message to women out there, I don't go anywhere without my gun.
Yeah, neither do
Especially when if I'm at home alone with my kids, my gun is with me 24/7.
It's the same.
Well,
yeah.
it's with me 24/7
24/7
anyway. But
I've just got the rough kid that's keeps interrupting us. So
we haven't taught him how to use one yet.
No. It's really I've been carrying a firearm since 2007, and every day. And I always when I talk to ladies at the introduction to handguns, I say sometimes on the fat days, I think I have to actually fit the gun into the inside waistband holster. It doesn't feel very nice, but the gun always wins because you know it makes you feel safer.
Yes, no, absolutely.
Anything else that you would like to add, Megan?
Yeah, it's you know what? For me, owning a firearm, I'll tell you one thing. One of the things I learned from owning a firearm was the responsibility that comes with it. I'm
sorry, now he's going to give you his toy.
Oh no, that's okay. Shall we throw it for you?
Okay.
You know, I was one of those people that would forget everything. Leave my cars, leave my sunglasses, leave this, leave that. And my parents and my husband used to get so frustrated with me. But since owning a firearm, I found you're a lot more conscious of everything. I'm always now aware of, because you can't just leave your gun lying in.
No, you can't.
You know, and it's lots of little things like I'm a lot more patient, I'm a lot more tolerant.
It changes you psychologically, because I've had that question asked by a lot of journalists. The first thing is, so if you get a gun, you're just going to shoot people. And I'm like, if you're aggressive, it's going to make you more aggressive. And it's not true. Everybody that I've spoke to that said they were aggressive, it made them less aggressive, because it's a responsibility. It changes the way you look. You're very situationally aware of what's going on around you. Yeah. So you avoid bad situations. And there comes the toy back. And
no, you do.
And it actually makes it, I think, makes you a much more responsible person as is. It doesn't make you more irresponsible.
No. Yeah, you do become a lot more responsible, and I think you become a lot more conscious of your surroundings as well. Yeah, and it's a life changer. But it gives you the confidence to know that if you do hit a situation where you are going to be threatened or you are going to feel insecure, at least you have got the training and the potential ability to protect yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which makes a difference.
No, it does make a difference.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Is that anything else? If you think about something, we can always talk later again.
Yes. Can we get more women involved?
That's what we're trying, eh? In any case, this is Lynette Oxley of the SHAC Tactical TV, and that's Uji, which is making a lot of noise. I'm a GOSA girl on fire. Megan is a GOSA girl on fire. We're not victims, and we are every woman. Thank you. Cheers.